Right. Good good afternoon. Can you hear me? Can I just check whether you can hear me? This is going to be. Could somebody indicate whether I can see myself in a rather blurred form? Okay, this is going to be very simple, very straightforward. I want to start. First of all, I'm Martin Rich. I'm from Bayes Business School. I'm working with Professor Clive Holtham, who I have worked with for about 25 years on this stuff, and also with Lin Lan Huang, who has been with us and is now with Birmingham City University. What I would actually like you to do is very quickly to cast your mind back to 1986 and think about the sort of technology which would have been used, what would count for educational technology in 1986. And it would possibly mean flip charts, it would possibly mean very simple text-based computers. It would very likely, if you were feeling progressive, you might be looking at something like a graphics package like Harvard Graphics. We've looked a little bit at Harvard Graphics that allowed you to put slides, to put things in front of a group of students and give and present them with pictures and stand at the front and give them a transmissive learning experience. And we had a look back at this, and we will put it to you that in some ways, all the stuff that we've talked about in terms of innovation and loads of other things changing, there's a certain amount which hasn't changed fundamentally since 1986. And the point about Harvard Graphics was when it came in, it gave the opportunity. I remember using when I first started, we used Harvard Graphics, then moved on to PowerPoint, able to come up with huge numbers of slides and um, do hugely elaborate presentations in front of students. But that was a very, very, very transmissive approach to learning. And the slightly contentious point which I'd like to put to you at this stage is that is a lot of the technology which has taken place more over the last 30 years has, if anything, has actually reinforced this transmissive approach, that if anything, it's made it more difficult to move away from the old world of transmissive learning. I'll give an example that we use lecture capture a lot. Lecture capture in many ways is great, but in some ways it has the unintended consequence of encouraging us to stand at the front of a lecture theatre or stand behind a dais when we could be moving around a little bit more. What we have started to see is to see a whole range of different apps used, a whole range of different tools used to supplement that. But those tools tend to be quite atomized. We use, obviously, we use Moodle as a VLE to support lots of things. We use a completely separate platform. We use Echo 360 for lecture capture. We've been using Pearl Everywhere. Strangely enough, when I use Pearl Everywhere to get people involved, I actually have problems logging into Pearl Everywhere because it's not fully integrated into um, into the other tools that we have. So we've moved into a world of still rather transmissive learning and a tool of rather atomized, a world of rather atomized tools to support that. And we're particularly Clive Holtham and I started looking at the effect of, we looked at a number of theories about how innovation takes place. We've all heard of disruptive innovation. We've all heard the term disruptive innovation being used. We've heard the fact Clayton Christensen came up with disruptive innovation as something which is so fundamental that it changes the structure of a sector, the structure of an activity. I would argue that we actually haven't seen disruptive innovation yet, certainly in higher education. We've seen it in some places, but not in others. So what we're arguing is that we ought to be going in the direction of moving away from some of the different atomized tools and taking more of an interest in what is happening with platforms. So we started looking at a platform called Nearpod, which is used a lot within other sectors of education, not so much within universities, that other things like Pear Deck and WooClap and so on. And we just want to make the case for a little bit of movement towards, rather than using different separate tools, towards the idea of using a platform to support to support education. Clive and I started to look at this. It turned out that Lin Lan Huang, who's our third co-author, was doing this initially with our foundation students, people who are in a transitional stage between school and university. And we actually found this was very effective in giving the foundation students tools, ways of navigating information, rather than just putting stuff in front of them. We found that they could use a whole bunch of interactive activities, and they could engage actively with learning. And we're looking at how this sort of thing could be scaled. We don't have the easy answer yet, but we have 600 people in one undergraduate course. So really, all the purpose of this talk was to make the case for moving away from just these separate tools, towards using some sort of integrated platform and using that as a tool in moving away from a transmissive form of learning to a more engaged form of learning. And I think that's just about 5 minutes.